Have you ever been standing in the produce aisle, just staring at this wall of green stuff and feeling completely lost? I mean, you want to eat healthy, but how are you supposed to know if this kale is better than that spinach, or if these beans are better than those lentils? It can be pretty confusing.
Well, it turns out you are definitely not alone. This question right here, it's from a user on Reddit, and it just hits the nail on the head, right? It's the exact problem we're going to tackle in this explainer. We're going to get you that guide.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll really dig into the question itself. Then, we're going to define what nutrient density even means in a scientific way. After that, we'll look at some pretty surprising food rankings, take a tour through different food groups with this new perspective, and then, most importantly, wrap it all up into a super simple strategy you can actually use.
Okay, let's get right into it. The real challenge here isn't just about spotting healthy food. We all kind of know vegetables are good for us. The trick is figuring out the differences within those healthy categories.
You know, a lot of us have these little tricks we use. A really popular one, which actually came up in that same Reddit thread, is the idea that when it comes to fruits and veggies, the darker the color, the better. You know, like lacinato kale over regular curly kale, or those deep purple potatoes instead of the white ones. And honestly, it's not a bad place to start, because color often signals more nutrients.
But those simple rules can only take you so far. When we think in these huge, broad categories like vegetables or protein, we miss the details. I mean, kale and a potato are both vegetables, but nutritionally, they are worlds apart. Same thing with protein. Lentils and salmon are both great, but they offer completely different things. To make smarter choices, we need a better tool.
In that tool, that powerful idea is nutrient density. This gives us a real scientific way to look at food, to move past just vague ideas of healthy and start looking at what's really inside.
So you might be wondering, if this is so great, why isn't it on every food label? Well, it's been a surprisingly bumpy road. For decades, the definition was kind of fuzzy. Back in the day, nutrition was all about what to avoid, like fats and sugars, not what to get more of. This led to some pretty misleading labels, and honestly, a lot of incomplete data, which made it really hard for scientists to agree on one single system.
But at its core, the idea is actually super simple. Nutrient density is just the amount of good stuff, the essential nutrients, a food gives you for the number of calories it has. That's it. It's all about getting the most nutritional bang for your caloric buck. More vitamins, more minerals, more of those amazing phytonutrients from plants for every single calorie.
Now, to make all of this really concrete and not just theoretical, we're going to use a specific system called the Nutrivore score. It's an evidence-based method that basically does the math for us, calculating a nutrient density score for thousands and thousands of foods. It gives us a really clear way to compare them, apples to oranges or, kale to potatoes.
All right, this is where it gets really fun. Let's look at a few of these Nutrivore scores and see how this all works in the real world. I gotta warn you, some of these might actually surprise you.
First up, we've got a true powerhouse that you might just walk right past in the store, watercress. It has a jaw-dropping Nutrivore score of over 6,900. It is just absolutely loaded with nutrients for almost no calories.
And here's where things get interesting and maybe challenge some of your assumptions. Check this out. Beef liver, an organ meat. It has a massive score of over 4,000. It is an absolute bomb of nutrients like vitamin B12 and vitamin A. This shows it's not just veggies at the top of the list.
Okay, let's come back down to earth with something a bit more familiar. Skinless chicken breast. A lot of us think of this as a go-to health food, right? It has a solid score of 309. It's a fantastic source of protein for sure. But as you can see, it's playing in a completely different league than watercress or liver.
And finally, let's look at brown rice. We're always told to eat more whole grains, and while it definitely has its place, its Nutrivore score is 154. This just perfectly illustrates that whole food does not automatically equal highest in nutrient density.
So now that we kind of have a feel for the scale with these individual foods, let's zoom out. Let's see how these scores look when we start comparing entire food groups. This is going to give us a whole new map for the grocery store.
When you look at the averages, some really clear patterns pop out. Vegetables, as a group, have a huge range, but they include so many of the top performers. But look at this. Legumes and red meat have almost identical average scores, right around 360. And whole grains, on average, come in at the bottom of this particular list, at 189.
Let's just zoom in on the meat category for a second. This chart really shows you the diversity within a group.
Chicken averages about 273, and beef is a little bit higher at 293. But then you look at game meat. We're talking bison, venison, stuff like that. It just shoots way ahead with an average score of 528.
And this same kind of nuance exists everywhere. Let's take legumes. Lentils and chickpeas, both amazing choices. Their scores are super close, 489 for lentils, 454 for chickpeas. Both are packed with fiber. But if you're specifically looking to boost your folate, lentils are an absolute superstar. It's these little differences that can help you really dial in your choices based on what you need.
Okay, we've got the science, we've got the numbers. So what does all this mean when you're standing in aisle 5 with a shopping cart and a hungry family? Let's boil all this down into a simple, actionable strategy.
And before we get to the list, I want to circle back one last time to that piece of wisdom from the Reddit thread. This is so important. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. The goal is not to only eat foods with a score of 4,000. It's about making small, smart, gradual improvements. It's about progress, not perfection.
So here it is, 4 easy steps. Number 1, prioritize variety. There's amazing research showing that eating 30 or more different types of plants every week is fantastic for your gut health. 2, eat the rainbow. All those different colors? They're not just for show. They signal different powerful phytonutrients your body loves. 3, just aim for progress. Seriously, that's it. Maybe today, that just means adding 1 more serving of vegetables than you had yesterday. And finally, number 4, don't be afraid of the frozen or canned aisles. These foods are often picked at their absolute peak of ripeness and can be just as nutritious and way more affordable than fresh.
So, that's it. That's the whole quest for nutrient density, a journey from that feeling of confusion in the grocery store to having real clarity. It's not about finding one single perfect food. It's about building a diet that's rich in variety and nutritional value, one step at a time. And that leaves us with one final question for you. Now that you have this new way of looking at things, what's one nutrient-dense food you're going to add to your cart this week?